how an Olympian can teach you how to lose listings. Today, I'm joined by Steve Backley, the very famous javelin athlete who was a world champion and also an Olympic champion as well.
Well, champion in inverted commas. I got to stand on the rostrum at both world and Olympic level, which was a buzz at the time, but many moons ago.
And the reason I was a bit slightly naughty with you there, Steve, is that you had a very famous ding-dong battle with Zelensky, who is, one would say, almost a once-in-a-lifetime javelin thrower. You were good as well, but you were exceptional. But there was almost this thing where you would beat him at the Europeans, but at the Worlds or Olympics, and especially that particular time when you got that you got the Olympic record, and then the bastard went and got you at the last.
I thought we were going to have a nice chat, Chris. You know,
okay,
you want to go there, do you?
Okay, but you know, you've joined real estate as part of Mackay's, part of EXB brand, to help estate agents guide and support them on their journey.
Correct. Yeah.
And a lot of people are going to be wondering, what can a guy who can throw a stick a long way?
Yeah.
Got to teach me how to be an estate agent. And that's where I want to go with this chat, is what can you teach estate agents to be better estate agents? And it's not how to list houses, it's all this up here.
Yeah, and that drives everything, doesn't it? You know, our behaviours are driven by our thoughts, and our thoughts are dictated by our beliefs, and that changes through experience. So if we can help people, you know, develop better habits, be more disciplined, be more focused, be more reflective, be more aware, and they're the characteristics that are, you know, you used the word champion earlier. To become a champion in the world of sport, it's not just the physical. And you know, the assumption is that somebody's really talented, they make it to Olympic level. They don't. It's a lot of those characteristics that sit in the mindset and the behavioural side of it.
Talent gets you to the door.
But it gets you to the party. We say, yeah, get a ticket to the party, right? But to have a good time at the party.
Because I don't know, there might be 30, 40 people in the semis. It's the difference between coming 30th or going through to the final.
Any one of them could win it. And I genuinely mean that. And it's the decisions that you make along the way as to which path to take that takes that level of awareness, and then to make the right decision. So if we can help, I mean, I've been retired for 20 years now, you know, with Roger Black, designing and delivering performance workshops, helping individuals, teams and organizations with their performance. So if we can help agents deliver on their goals, deliver on what their perception of success is, then you know, we've played our part, you know, and love it as well. It's a great journey.
What do you define as success?
For me, or I mean, you can only define your own success really, because it is subjective, you know. And I'll be honest, it's more difficult in life after sport. You know, one of the things I miss from sport is the clarity that you're gifted every year. You know, every year there'll be an.
I mean, if you think about it, you as a top-notch athlete are very much focused on, you know, once every 4 years, one meeting, the World Championships. Are they every 2 years or every 4 years?
Yeah.
But okay,
So, yeah, Olympics every 4, Worlds every 2,
and then you've got the you know, the Europeans as well. Estate agents don't have that sort of focus, but they are focused very much on the fact is that they've got 20 listing appointments that month.
Well, it's a good point. So they're not that focused necessarily. It's not designed for them, but nobody's to say that you can't design that. You could say, right, I'm going to have a 4-year plan. I'm going to hit these markers. This is my outcome goal at 4 years. And to create that outcome, I'm going to design and deliver on this performance. And to deliver that performance, I'm going to put these process goals in place. And that's the kind of structure and thinking and planning that you have to do at sport just to be in the room, that we apply to business.
But estate agents aren't very good at process.
Which is why we love to help. You know,
because that's it, isn't it?
That's it.
I don't know if you've noticed, but estate agents are very focused on the outcome, not the process to get the outcome.
Yeah.
Did that surprise you?
It does, and it did. My other half's an estate agent, so I've sort of semi-immersed in the world from a slight distance, and I'm a property guy, I have been for decades. So I get the industry, and I get everyone has their own drivers. But I think if the process isn't aligned to the performance and the outcome, you can't get into the process. That's my take. And then once you've got that planned and designed, you can then create the habits every day and then go about them knowing that the outcome comes about. But it is, I sort of get it. I sort of get that, because the outcome's the juicy bit, right? That's the outcome's the bit that gets us out of bed in the morning. The process is the stuff.
I mean, would it surprise you that I believe the vast majority of employed estate agents don't care whether the house sells or not?
Care? I use that word a lot because I think that's the primary factor that makes a really good agent. Demonstrate that they care.
Okay, care to the client, but I'm talking about them caring about themselves. Is that I genuinely believe the vast majority of employed, not all, vast majority of employed valuers care more about not losing the listing as opposed to gaining the listing.
Interesting. Yeah.
Because there'll be valuers out there listening to this, they'll put 10 houses on the market and then lose number 11, and it will be like the heart's been dragged from their chest.
Yeah. And if that's a driver, we shouldn't ignore it. We can use that to deliver a better performance.
It's a negative driver, isn't it?
Do you know what? A lot of people, there's split thinking on that. My personal feeling is use it. If it's a driver, use it. I don't think it should be necessarily, the only driver, and it shouldn't be perceived as negative. Away from pain towards pleasure. It's the way things are. But I come back to the point that, use those drivers, understand who you are. You ask the question, what is success? And it's one of the first things we ever ask in our performance coaching. Because unless we define that for ourselves individually and really take ownership of that and wake up every day and remind ourselves of that. And this is why I said earlier, really easy as an Olympic athlete, because you go, right, the next Olympic Games are in Los Angeles. We're pretty sure about that. The date is set for your event. The javelin final will be on a given day. I have to get, so every day there's this converging goal that you quite rightly identified. And I think that level of clarity towards the outcome is something that we should all embrace. And
because that sounds like 4 years long-term thinking. I mean, most estate agents, and again, I'm not criticizing estate agents, I'm just telling you what they are like, is that they genuinely cannot see beyond 90 days.
But that's okay. But it doesn't stop us at certain times. It's where we can come in. At certain times, you sit down, it might take half an hour of your time. What is that 4 year? And then bring it back to the today,
and steps,
knowing that it's aligned, so that every step you take today is aligned to the why, the outcome, the what is success in the future.
Let's move on and talk about how did you get over that negativity when you did lose, to slap yourself back and get you back on track?
Yeah, look, in sport, you're failing more than you're succeeding. Even the very best, the greatest, whatever sport you're into, whatever example you'd like to bring, you're failing. You're missing the hole on the golf course. You're missing the hoop in basketball. You're striking at goal as a footballer. You're being tackled. You're dealing with setbacks every single day. Like we can liken that to a estate agency or any other walk of life. But it's I suppose the tenacity, the resilience, and the unflapping, unquivering confidence that you're going to end up at that success. So, it comes back to clarity again. We've just talked about it. But so, how do you get over it? Is the question. How do you deal with it?
I mean, you had some big ones. You had a big one with your Achilles, didn't you?
Yeah. I had injuries, and I messed up. I didn't get it right every time. I messed up my first Olympics, and it was the most.
Well, isn't it the case in the second Olympics you had an Achilles thing, and you still got silver, didn't you?
I did, and I that was probably my most prized possession, is that Olympic silver.
Because you had to go through some shit to get it.
Well, I had no right to even be there. That's how ridiculous that was, and I got very, so. Humbled and grateful to have worked with a guy called Paul McKenna, many will know as a stage hypnotist, great sports psychologist. And he taught me one of the skills that, again, was something we talk about, is visualization. We talk about, what is success? Well, can you see it? What does it look like? What does it feel like? What's it going to do for you? What's your life going to be like when you get there? And bringing all that stuff to life is part of the performance journey. So, setbacks are something that, in many ways, it's easier in a performance context. It's sometimes easier when you're failing because you're more driven. It's more obvious. You go, right, you're backed in the corner, you come out swinging, you've got to go get this.
But how do you drop the emotional red mist? Because that's the thing, is that a lot of us, I'm not criticizing, a lot of agents, they take it very personally, whilst if they were smart, they'd like say, right, what the hell did I do wrong there?
Yeah, absolutely. Attribution, what happened? What did I learn? How do I move on? And that's the growth mindset. Another piece of the sort of language that we use in part of our programs is, that growth mindset. You can only deal with the present. We can learn from the past, but let's not dwell on it. And let's not spend too much time in the future other than planning for it, but being in the present. And look, bounce back ability is a skill as much as it is a trait. I think some people find it easier than others, and it's sometimes tough, and it should hurt. And if it hurts, that's probably a good thing, because again, let's use that to ramp up motivation to go forward.
I want to carry on this theme of loss. You threw a world record distance only for it to be taken away because of rule changes.
I did. That's very true. Okay. But I got it back again.
All right.
Yeah, there you go. So,
okay, but let's go through the time that where it hit you. I mean, in a state agency, agents put the house on the market. The house sells, everything's perfect, and then the sale falls through 19 weeks later, just as the sale's about to exchange and completion. The seller withdraws, the recognition goes elsewhere. How the hell do you stay motivated in those?
I think you're more motivated then than ever, aren't you?
Why would you? I want you to think. Go back to the time where you felt that.
So I broke the world record in 1990 in Stockholm, and I remember it like it was yesterday. I'm sort of seeing it now in my mind's eye. Only for it to be broken, as you rightly say, by my nemesis Jan Zalesny, and he.
Are you mates?
Well, actually, the twist to that story, if I can jump to that, because I think it's super relevant in everything we're talking about, is I went and joined him. I went and joined him as a training partner. So fast forward another 8 years, we were in a competition in Japan, and he turned to me and said, "You don't train hard enough." I said, "Say that again," and we're outside, like sort of semi-joking, a few beers. He went, "Come train with me, you won't be able to keep up with me." I'm like, "Okay, I'll be there." I went with him to train in Sierra Nevada, 8-week training camp, and it was ridiculously hard. It was stupid. Trained with him for the next 5 years. And learned loads of.
You were still in competition at that time.
Yeah. And it wasn't a case of if you can't beat them, join them. But there was an element.
Did you push each other on?
Yeah, that was why he wanted it. We knew the Germans were strong, the Russians were strong. There was a few other athletes, a Finn, and he knew that if he and I were 1 and 2 in the world, he was 3 times Olympic champion, the greatest javelin thrower the world has ever seen. So I had my work cut out, but the dynamic.
You did beat him in other instances.
I beat him. Yeah, I did. I beat him in 4 Europeans. That's my little counterpunch. 4 Europeans that are also 4 years apart. So there was a bit of a positive end to it. But that dynamic of Roger and I talk about surround yourself with talent, get around smart people, and success leaves clues, and it will rub off. As well as the coach and the training regime and the other stuff that goes around it.
And I want to talk about pressure. Estate agents, especially valuers, they have people in the office that rely on them. The negotiators, the branch manager, the financial services, all rides on the shoulders of the valuer to bring home the properties on the market at the right price to get them sold. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you won medals at three Olympics, didn't you? Yeah, which again I think is pretty unheard of. Towards the end, you were carrying the hopes of Britain on your shoulders, weren't you? You were the golden boy. And again, I think estate agents sometimes feel that pressure. What's the key to managing those external expectations?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I think first of all, you have to embrace it. I think you don't necessarily have to love it, but embrace it. There's different things, accepting it and committing to it. And I think it's the techniques in the moment. I think the subtle difference is I suppose as a valuer, it's chronic, isn't it? That pressure is every day. As an athlete, with the converging goal of the Olympics, the
It's
pressure
actually 4
builds.
Olympics, wasn't it?
I went to 4 Olympics.
Went to 4, got
Got
3.
three medals, and a fourth. So I just missed out on the fourth. But that converging goal, the pressure's building, and it's building, and that deadline day is coming, and it's the pressure of that. And I think the techniques that we learn through the likes of working with Paul McKenna and other psychologists in how to deal with that, and a lot of it's around being in the present. Control the controllables is a big part, and then our coaching input, the one-on-one, the exec coaching, sitting across from an agent and talking through the challenges, and quite often they talk about things that are not in their control, and it's why we talk, let it go, let that go, deal with what you can deal with, control what we can control. If you can influence something, that's okay, that can stay in. But if you can't influence it, don't deal with it, it's done.
Because there's a lot of agents that carry an awful lot of baggage.
Yes.
Right move charge too much. My competitors are doing low fees. All you can do is make your if you're not charging low fees, is basically that your job is to prove you're worth the higher fee to someone else, isn't it?
There are no guarantees. I was never guaranteed to stand on a rostrum. There's no guarantee you're going to get the listing. All we can do is make it as likely as possible. So something's in your area of concern, but not in your area of influence, let it go. And it's advice I think that we need to constantly remind ourselves of and practice to bring to fruition.
Now, we've had Roger on the sofa, and we've got you as well, Steve. One thing I didn't ask Roger, but want to ask you in this is how did you deal, and again, there's a lot of agents out there, not as many as I would wish, who are doing video and in their estate agency to grow their agency. And a lot of them are getting recognised locally, and basically smoke is being blown up their backside. How do you deal with that fame, that it doesn't go to your head and have hubris and believe your own bullshit?
Yeah, Roger and I are probably a little different on that.
You are humble. You don't mind me saying, you've got the two things which I look up to in great estate agents, which is hunger with humility.
Yeah.
You're confident, but you're not cocky.
Yeah.
You could have walked in here, couldn't you? Okay. Put your medals,
No, never would, never have, and don't think.
Where did you get that from, mum or dad?
Yeah, working class Geordies, both parents, down to earth people. Then that's certainly a
lost the accent, though, haven't you?
Oh yeah, you don't grow up in South London with a Geordie accent. you put that to bed quite early. So the humility is a big factor, but. Yeah, fame's weird. I mean, I didn't read the small print when it came to throwing the javelin a long way. I wanted to be at the Olympics. I wanted to be like, the gladiatorial athletes. There was great role models back in the 70s and 80s. Seb Coe, Steve Ovett.
And a bit of rivalry there.
It was fantastic. So I couldn't run. So I didn't have the ticket to that party, but I could throw a javelin. So got to go do all this stuff, and then I remember got invited onto the Wogan show. Remember the Wogan show? So I sat on the Wogan couch, and I got on Tiswas. You go on Tiswas, and you go on all these TV shows, and then you start getting people talking. Walking through Sainsbury's, and people just they hear your name, and it's weird. The world changes. It comes at you differently, and I've struggled with that. If I'm honest, I didn't like it. I didn't want it. Never have. But then I think as you get older, you realise it doesn't matter. If it's not a big value to it, again, let it go. But yeah, it's if it's a factor, some people embrace it. I suppose you want to have that brand. I think the brand thing's more important than the fame thing. I think that's a reframe. If of course, personal brand. People say good things about you. I've heard about you, and what will they say next? I've heard about you. You're the
And that's what I love about self-employed estate agency, that you can really push your personal brand. But there's an awful lot of estate agents who are self-employed that don't really embrace the self-employed. They don't want to go on camera. They don't want to put their head over the parapet. They're missing a trick there.
A trick, and I think again it comes back to the clarity piece that comes out in coaching. Is that you say, well,
because that's what you and Roger and Adam offer people.
Exactly.
That's what I'm a massive fan of the EXP model. I know yours is called the Real Agency, and I've gone on record to say that I really do not like those self-employed estate agents who are basically saying, come and join me, by not actually saying, this is what I'll give you in return. And that's what I love about you guys, is that you're actually saying, if you come in and join us, and this is not an advert for Real Agency, but that's what you're getting back. That you're going to guide, support them on their journey, because it's a lonely old game, isn't it?
It's a lonely old game. Collaboration is key to success in the 21st century. There's no doubt about that. So many industries are showing that. The world, world's a more complex place. To have collaborative approach is essential. And you're right. We offer value, and now every day we talk about what else can we do. How can we offer more value? How can we improve? So Roger and I focus on the mindset piece. We're not teaching anything. We're coaching in the true sense.
Basically, Adam is great at coaching how to be an estate agent. You're coaching someone how to be a great business person.
Yeah, I think that's you summed it up nicely. And the other thing I think going with Adam Mackay is that I think he epitomizes the future of what an estate agent is. It's not a cheap suit and a dodgy chat. He's a real bloke, and he's genuinely interested in people, and he cares.
Well, I wish you well on your journey helping estate agents across the UK, and thank you very much for your time today, Steve.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.